And smiles, everyone. I hope everyone's having a lovely day today. Today I'm working with some sewing patterns, some old sewing patterns I had actually got from a secondhand shop. So I decided I really like the feel of sewing patterns, and it's really quite like a strong tissue paper. And so today I've been working with it, and I've been making some, well, these are pouches, and it's so easy to stamp on sewing patterns. They stamp really, really nicely on them. So you can stamp on it, and I covered some tags with it. And I made some this one was like a pouch kind of pocket that you could put right into your journal and slide some extra journaling paper in, or a bookmark. And I've been making some envelopes. I really like how these have turned out. I love the look of them with the sewing pattern. They're so interesting to me, and you can embellish these any way you'd like, but I just like them the way they are, even too, because I just like the look of them. I think they're interesting for sure. And then I made a page for a journal, and this is it's a bit puffy, and I love the feel and the sound of it, and I thought it would add quite a bit of interest in a journal. And it's very easy to write on. You can write on this sewing pattern paper quite easily. So I thought I'd take you along and show you what I've been up to today and how easy it really is. So I think I'll start with some envelopes, and I've been using this paper here. It's just leftover kind of paper, and it's I think I got it at a dollar store in the children's section probably, and it's scrapbook paper or scrap paper or whatever it's called. And it's a bit thinner, but I liked the color of it, and its texture is a rougher texture. But anyway, these were left over from a project I was doing. So I've been using these to make the envelopes. And so it's quite easy to start with. We'll do the envelope first. And all I've been doing is I basically pick some pattern paper, some to cover it with, and like something like this. So with your pattern papers, of course, there's all different kinds of lengths and shapes and things like that. I'll just put those to the side. That can be added as we go along. I'm just seeing if I have any, those were cut-offs. Just seeing what I had for cut-offs to use for these. Well, I think I'll use the one I got right there. All right. Well, I'll use this one. We'll see which one. So basically, I've been using my glue stick, and I'm just seeing if I could get two with this one. Not quite, but I could add a little something from my scrap pile. So I think I'll use this. So I'll just cut this. I'll put this out of the way. Put these out of the way. I'll just cut this down a bit. This is quite an easy project, but so effective. The results, I really, really like the results of it. So, okay, so basically I've just taken my glue stick and I put glue all the way across. I suppose you could use a liquid glue, but the pattern paper is quite thin, so I don't know how well that would work. That's why I'm using the glue stick. But you could try and see what the results would be. I'm just going to get a new, I like to rip it off. I had a new one because that one I had been using and it's quite gluey. I try and make them as smooth as I can, but there's no problem with the wrinkles. It adds texture to them, I find. So you have a pattern. You can certainly mass make a bunch of these envelopes, not elephants, envelopes. Such. Okay, and then I just take my scissors and trim it up. Oh, that's not. Oh, I guess you could keep that too and stamp on it words or an image. So I think I'm going to keep that to the side for now. We don't like to waste too much, do we? I find I look at things, since I've started journaling, I look at things so differently that I used to think, oh, that just needs to go in the recycle bin. And it's surprising how many things you can make beautiful items with that go into the recycling bin. So I like that thought, of course, of reusing what otherwise would not be reused. Just like these sewing patterns. People are not sewing as they once did, and then a lot of these sewing patterns, of course, are more vintage, older styles, which people don't wear anymore. And so it's really nice. I really like finding those because I can reuse them and they're not going into the recycle. That's, the side is just being a little bit. Okay. I think I need to glue this just a tad more and then I will sew it. Okay, so these envelopes are they're a very basic envelope, but I really like these envelopes in journals. So you basically, from there, you just fold the way you want your envelope to be. Boy, I'm having a hard time trimming, of course, because I turned on the camera. Okay, so I think I'll go this way. So you can see the 8. And then this would be the top. Oh, that wasn't quite as even as I thought. Okay. Now I want to leave a little, I think I'm going to fold this just a little bit further down because I want to leave a little gap so it's easier to put things in and out of the pocket of the envelope. There. And then we'll do the top fold. Go. So basically, like this one I've been sewing, I just open up the flap and I sew all the way around, which I'll do. I think I'll put a divot or a notch in it first. Okay, and I just eyeball the notch or divot just so there is a visual thumb type of hole. And I think I have some gray ink that I've been inking with, except for I don't know where I put my sponge, so I'll just use this one, I think. So I'm just using some gray ink. I'm going to ink it before I sew it. Makes it a lot easier. Because I'm using gray thread. That's why I'm doing it in the gray. So whatever, thread you're using, if you want to ink, you can match it with the thread, or you can do a different ink altogether. It all depends on what you're doing, what's your project. If you want to make it more neutral like I am, so I can use them in different ways. That's totally, totally up to you and what you have in mind. I'm thinking this one, yeah, okay, it's pretty even. I was thinking it was a little not even, because these papers, of course, they're not all perfectly lined up because they were cut off. The other thing is I've been making my envelopes by sewing them shut, and you don't have to sew them. You could glue them, that's for sure. Okay. All right. I just like the look of them when they're sewn. So what I'm just gonna quickly sew this. I'm gonna use a zigzag stitch. Now, should I go this way and around? Guess it doesn't much matter because I'm not going to go across the bottom this here because it's already sealed. So okay, let's quickly get this sewn up. Oh, no, I needed 2 more. There we go. Ah, I did that one. Don't have to do an extra stitch. Got it. I do tend to have to do an extra stitch a lot when I'm sewing because I'm always very cautious because I don't want to go over, make too many stitches. Back stitch a bit just to make sure it's secure. There. There we go. So there's the envelope, and I like to cord around it. It gives it a nice look, I think. To cord around it. And I'm using 1/2 inch. Oh, it doesn't want to. I have to use my scissors a little bit. There, that one's fine. It's just this one did not want to come off very well. There. Okay. So there is an envelope. Oh, I just need to put a little bit of my ink on those. And there we go. Yeah, I've got myself another envelope. And like I said, you can stamp and embellish however you like. So I think we'll do the I'll show you how I'm doing the page for a journal. Just set that aside, set these aside for now, because this is a bit, there's a bit more to these than the envelopes. I don't need those. So I'm just taking a piece of copy paper, and what I am doing, I just got to get myself a little organized here, is I'm taking a piece of the sewing pattern. Basically, I'm wrapping the copy paper in it. So the copy paper gives it some stability. And so, let's see. There. So I'm just thinking which way I want to start this. Okay, so I think I'll go this way first. So your, where did I put my book? Basically, this is a lot of glue, this first bit. So just basically put glue all across the paper. Oh, I guess I should be doing this. I'm doing this kind of on the side. Sorry, guys. Glue all over it. And I put it down. Here, we'll go here, I guess. So you pick a spot that you want to start. And what we're going to do is just keep wrapping this paper around the copy paper. So just fold it in on itself. My, I put it over. There it is. I put things to the side and then I have to find them again. That for a minute. Okay. I'm going to just get glue on all of this. Be a little more careful putting your glue stick on the, that one didn't stick down very well, but that's okay, on the sewing pattern paper, because it's a bit more fragile, of course, so we don't want to be too rough with it. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to turn it over on itself. Oh, sorry. I want to give it a little tighter around this edge here. So let's just get that in there. There we go. Yeah, that's better. So it's a little bit awkward, but not bad at all. And it's really cool with the results you'll get in the end. You got to work somewhat quickly so your glue isn't drying on you too badly. And this uses up a lot of the blank space that you get in a pattern. Okay, so we'll turn it again. And let's see, do we want to, I'm going to glue this down. No, not quite yet. We'll do that in a minute. We'll do one more round just straight. So you're basically wrapping the pattern around your paper. Now, your glue, you know, you don't need a tons and tons of glue because you create some wrinkles which only adds to the texture of it overall, and I really like the look of that. This is not a project for perfection, that's for sure. Okay, let's put some of this up. I'm just going to glue some of this down. But the pattern paper, the sewing tissue paper, is quite a strong paper, so you don't have to worry too much about it being fragile with your glue stick. Good. Let's get these layers down. This one isn't going to be too bad. Lots of times you will have, well, I shouldn't say that till we're done. Never mind. Okay, so we're going to go once more around, it looks like. Oh, and it's okay if it tears, because it's not going to hurt anything. Just glue it on. Okay. Go. going to be sewing this too, right? So it doesn't need to be really, really glued down because they'll be sewing also. I suppose you could do this with straight glue, but it would be a lot more time consuming. Well, you would want to make sure that you glued all spots very, very well. Okay, so last. So this one is not too bad. There's not a lot of extra stray papers. So what I'm talking about, where did I put? Like there's quite a bit of I had sewing here because that was the the edges of the pattern when I was doing the page. Okay, so this, you could certainly leave it as is if you don't want too thick a page, or you could keep wrapping until you're happy with how the feel and texture is that you want for your page. And then we'll sew around it. So I'm going to sew here and to here because those are two edges, right? And then I'll sew along here and along here and along here and around the whole outside, and then I'll show you. Okay, so I'm going to use the zigzag, and that's what I'm going to do right now, is do this, just sew around all the edges to secure it down really well. And it adds so much texture. I keep saying, yeah, it adds a lot to the page. The look of the page, I think. I really like the sewing. I think it looks really sharp. And it doesn't take up much of the writing space on the page. At all. Go right to the edge of this one. Okay. So I sewed along here and along here and along here to secure that, excuse me, down well. And then on this side, I'm going to sew along here and along here. And I'm using my zigzag stitch for it all. And I'm just turning my page for this one because of the way the line is going. So along this And then we're going to sew all the way around the outside. Okay. So wherever you fold it in at the end is where you would sew along the edges, just to make sure that it's nice and secure. And like I said, if you wanted to, you could put another layer on top. It's totally up to you, but I'm liking this for a page. I think it'll work very well. It's thick enough. Okay, so now I'm just going to do around all the edges of the whole thing. Probably haven't been in frame with my sewing machine here, but I'm just sewing a straight zigzag stitch is what I'm doing. How come it's, oh, I see. Okay, just had a little blimp here in my sewing. I usually make sure that the needle stops down, and the needle position is always down into the project. So if I have to take 1 or 2 more stitches, I can without moving my project. And there is a button on my machine called the needle position that makes sure that happens, that it always stops in the down position. I'm just going to take those off. I'm keeping those because I want to make some handmade paper, and I thought this might add quite an interesting texture to it, the threads. So I'm keeping them all for now till I get onto that project. And just got 2 more sides to go. And we'll be all done this page. Stitch. Oh, it's flapping on me. Okay, there we go. All right, 1 more side and we'll be all done. I hope that you all are having a good crafty day and crafting along with me. Yes, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Okay, so we've done the sewing. There we go, the page is done. I like how it turned out. So then you can just fold it. And you can put it in your journal. So you could stamp on this if you so choose. It's fine. I think you could journal just great on there, right on it. And yeah, so of course I like them just this way. I don't know if I would embellish or not, but it also depends on what journal I would be putting it in. So that's how we do a page for our journal from a sewing pattern. The copy paper you start with gives it a base, and you fold into itself, and that's all there is to it. And then sew up along the edges that you have at the end that you've glued down, just to secure everything. And I love how it looks. So those were the pages. This page I'm finding is a tad bit thicker, so my piece had to be a bit thicker, but that's okay. This one's thick enough, and it still has that lovely texture and sound to it. So, and then we did the envelope, and pretty well the tags are pretty, basically cover the tags. And what I do is I use the pieces that are cut off from other things that I'm doing, like the envelopes, and you can put those right on a tag. This one would be perfect for this tag. And then you can just, it's a start of a background, and from there you can embellish or stamp any way you wish, depending on what journal you're putting it in. Oh, and these here, I've been doing, these little pouches are quite simple. I'm using the leftover scraps of this, and all I do is fold in on itself after I've covered it with the sewing pattern. And then all I'm doing is, excuse me, is folding it in. Well, this one's a little bit, well, let's just cut it in half, because this one's a little large. I was using smaller pieces, I guess. So we'll just cut this in half. And I cover it with my sewing pattern using my glue stick. And then I fold it. Like that. And then I fold it like this. Now this one's a little small, but I'm sure you guys are getting the idea. Fold it in on itself like this, and gluing it together. And then I'm just sewing around here, and around here. And if, as you can see in the back here, I have sewn it here. So actually, why don't I just quickly show you better than this. Yeah, I'll just cut off a bit of this. There. Yeah. So I'm making these about 6 inches by 6 inches is what I'm doing with these little pouch type things. So then I cover it, and I'll just quickly do that with a sewing pattern. Because I realized I did these a tad different than I was explaining, so I'm going to do one out for you. So again, I'm just putting glue stick down. And I'm gluing my pattern, my sewing pattern paper onto the whole thing, just like that. Where did I put? There's my glue. And of course, I lost my little, oh, here it is. So it's a bit wrinkled, of course, which I don't mind at all. I like that texture. Whoop. Just need a little more glue there. Then I'll trim off the excess. Like that little piece right there. That would be interesting to add to a tag. Or you can also make journaling cards too. I don't know about that. Well, I could stamp on that, and I can definitely stamp on this. Okay, and then just along the bottom here. Oh, I didn't do this side either. There. Okay, so with this, I'm sewing it first. I'm just going to do a zigzag all the way around the outside. First, I will figure out how I want to fold it, because I want to keep as much of this to the front, because this can be plain on the back, because I'm just going to be gluing that to a page, right? So let's see. How about, I'm just going to fold it so I kind of know where I'm going to go with it after. That'll work. There. So then the front has all of that on it. So, okay, I'm going to quickly sew a zigzag stitch around the whole thing. One more. There we go. Actually, I said I was going around the whole thing. Actually, I'm going to go around the three sides. I'm not going to do the top because I want to put a divot in it, and it'll just make it easier not to do the top here. Okay. Just because my thread, I might have to, I would have to cut through my thread perhaps, and I don't want to do that. You can though, of course, I've done it, but I like it that way. And I've been doing it so far. stitch it a little. Okay. There we go. So I want to put the notch or divot in it before I fold it or secure it, because it'll be much easier. I'm just looking at the top here, and I think I could trim just a tad of it. There we go. All right, so I'll put it in. I'll put a notch in. Oh dear, that did not want to go through all the way for some reason. That's okay, I can just cut that part off. Perhaps it just felt the paper was too thin. Sometimes if you try to cut something that's too thin, it's not going to cut through. Oh, and just trim this a little better. There we go. There. So there we go. And I will just put a little ink on there. Look, trying to ink with the cap on, Colleen. Okay. There. So I just put a little ink on, and then I just glue it here and along the edge of here. So in the end, oh, I'm going to use some wet glue to keep this very secure. The reason I sewed the 3 sides is if I decide that I want to just clip it in the journal instead of putting it down on the page, then the back will have the nice zigzag trim on it also. Oh, which way do we want to go? I think we'll go this way first, and then we'll just put some glue along here, along this side, and then some glue along this side, and that will secure it all down. Okay, there we go. Just hold that down for a minute. It takes a minute. Well, not a minute, a few seconds. And there we go. So that's how you do the little pouches. Yes, I like to sew the 3 sides, just like here. So when you want, if you so choose to just clip it into your journal, the back has the zigzag on it as well. Or it doesn't harm to have the zigzag on there if you end up gluing it into your book this way, and then perhaps using it as a pocket in the back and also as the pocket in the front. All right, guys, that's it for today. We did the pouches, we did the envelopes, and the tags are pretty basically easy to do. You just cover it. And I used my glue stick, and these ones I did not sew around, but you can certainly sew around your tags. So those were the envelopes. We did an envelope, and then of course the pages, which are my favorite of today's project, is doing these pages. I think they're going to add to a journal really nice. Oh, I guess that particular word we don't want on there, so I'm going to embellish right there. I just noticed that. That wouldn't be the best to have in your journal, so I will make sure that particular word is no longer there. Anyway, I hope you all continue to have a lovely day and a very crafty day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.